over time, let me explain to you a little bit. Let's look at the Vitruvian Man. Okay, the image of the Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci. There is the square and the circle, and there's a man in the middle. Okay, I'm sure many of you are familiar with that symbol. Now, the man in the middle with the proportion and the circle really is the spiritual world, or you could say the heavenly world. Now, the body refers to the man in the middle, okay? And then the square is the material world. So, the material world actually is uses the five senses, the sense of smell, the sense of sight, hearing, okay, and taste and touch. So that is the body. We have the five senses. Now, the soul. What is the soul? You could say the gateway to the soul is imagination. It is conscience. It is emotions. Okay, and it's affections. All right. Thank you for the question, Deep Singh. My question is, why trusted people cheat us? I'll answer that later on. All right. This is not relevant to this right now. Okay. So that's the thing about the soul. Now, the mind and the soul is plagued with anxious thoughts, with the emotions, the frustrations of the world, fear, anger. So that's the mind, and the soul is related to that. So there's a thing now about the spirit. The spirit is what is the innermost. It is what is used to actually contact God. Okay, it's the innermost. Now there is this scientist and pastor, his name is Dr. Clarence. He looks at it as three circles: the outermost circle, then the inner circle, and then the innermost. The innermost is the spirit, the middle is the soul, and outermost was the body. And that innermost, yes, the spirit is the innermost. Now, so that in a way it talks about the threefold of man. So Madiha, you asked me about how do you connect with the soul. That's interesting, because the soul really embodies emotions and thoughts, imagination, memory. That really is, the soul is what you are. You don't have a soul, you are a soul. The soul is the spirit and the body, and it's the whole thing. It's the embodiment. The spirit receives impressions of the outward and the material things through the soul. The spiritual faculties are faith, hope, reverence, prayer, and worship. So how do you actually connect with the spirit is through worship and through prayer. So the question actually should be, how do we connect with the spirit? Because the soul really is, we all have a soul. You are a soul. And what we are trying to connect really is, we're trying to connect to the spirit. Okay? So this is the threefold nature of who we are. Now I'll share a little bit more about the spirit. If you're going to, the correct thing would be actually that we have to connect with the spirit. And we have been so, you could say, soul-driven so long that now we need to be spirit-driven. There are a lot of programs out there about how we cleanse the soul. That really is relating to emotions, relating to past memories, okay, cleansing of the soul. But now it's about being spirit-driven. You work on the soul, you cleanse your emotions, but now it's time about expanding the spirit. Okay, that vibration, that spirit is, like I said, that spirit is what we use to contact God. So if we're working on being soul driven, we work on cleansing the soul of the low vibration emotions and of the past memories, the negative memories, and holding us back. But the next step really is for expansion of the spirit, the vibration, so that we can connect with God. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, okay? But the spirit, there is the spirit of man and then the spirit of God, right? Now, the spirit of man is limited to things of man. Just imagine yourself as you are, okay? That you have this energy field around you. And as you are limited by the thoughts and emotions and the energy field of yourself. It is limited to the things of man. But when we allow ourselves to connect to God, we move ourselves to another level. We are no longer limited by the things of man or the thoughts of man. Okay? Now, I'll just read this thing here, okay? Statement here. The human spirit requires the spark of regeneration before there is understanding of the things of God. Man's spiritual nature must be renewed before there is a true conception of godliness. So in a way, the statement is saying that there needs to be a kind of surrender. Imagine yourself as a glass, okay? Imagine yourself as a glass of water, right? And your spirit is the water in your glass. And the glass is really your body. And the soul is the embodiment of all that, okay? You are the soul, as I said. Now, the water is tainted. It's murky, all right? And that's what you are. But when you allow yourself to connect with the Spirit of God, now you are a spirit of man, you allow yourself to connect with the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God is such a high frequency, such a high vibration, that it is such a, imagine it's a different version of a liquid that fills you. It totally diffuses that water which was in your glass, if you allow it. It, assuming it's a golden color, and you are just a translucent water, that golden color totally takes over the glass, the water in that glass, and it becomes the new contents of you. So the Spirit of God is no longer, as I said, is no longer limited by the things of man. So when you need to do is connect with the Spirit of God, and then that will take you to another level, take you to a renewal that is through prayer and worship, and through awareness, reading the Word. So that really is the answer. It is through the faculties of the Spirit that we connect. Right? So I hope that answers your question, Madiha. It's connection with the Spirit rather than the connection of the soul, because we are the soul. And the soul is linked to emotions, imagination. Right. So now the only thing that will stand against us from connecting with the Spirit is our will. So we need to allow, it's our will, we need to allow ourselves to have the connection, to surrender to surrender our spirit so we can allow for the encompassing of the Spirit of God. So that awareness and understanding and the surrender is the answer. And as long as we are close-minded, and as long as we think that we know it all, as long as we think we already are complete as a person and we don't need, we will not be able to. So it is allowing for that emptiness, allowing for that letting go, allowing for ourselves to be transformed. Then we can allow for the connection. And doing the activities of prayer and worship with patience and reverence, and having hope and faith, as I said, the faculties of the Spirit, having all these qualities will allow us to connect. So, yes, I'm going to mention a little bit about a poem which I wrote, page 23, right? Speaking about this chapter 3, as golden souls, reaching out to the very heights of our spirit, body, mind, and soul, like glowing beacons, standing on tiptoes, arms open wide, holding on to the light. The light is the light of God. So golden, as I said, golden, fill up with the golden, because we allow for ourselves to be connected. The whole soul becomes golden. The soul is what we are. So the glowing beacons, standing on tiptoes, mean larger than life. I speak about in my book about the story about how I felt the elevation of my spirit when there was a talk about divine love when I was visiting a Gurudwara. It was really quite beautiful. I'll talk about it a little later because there's a second part. We talk about true love and divine love. So, yes, it was that heightening of the spirit, and that was a true connection. Now, there's one thing I want to share, one more thing here, is a quote, all right? The man was created, man is created a trinity of the spirit, soul, and body, even as the eternal God is himself a trinity of the Father, Holy Spirit, and the Son. The trinity of man, essential part of who we are. So understand that. 3 is the number of divinity. So life is not ultimate physical. And the body is not the whole of man. The whole of man is the soul and the spirit. Right? So I thank you, and before I move on, I'm going to connect again, talk about the part 2, and that is a question also by Leah. How would you define true love? So I'll talk a little bit about that and divine love. Thank you very much, and just